All right, in this video, we're going to be going over basically our 4 drill presses. They're all a little different. They're all older, but they work just fine. So, a couple things. They all pretty much have on buttons on in front of the machine here, and on, off. With the speed adjustment though, on this one here, this Powermatic, you want to do it while it's on. So for example here, alright, so that's while it's on. As far as the table goes here, you might have to raise and lower this sometimes. And on this table, it's actually potentially dangerous. So if you're going to raise and lower this table, you want to have one student holding on the table like this. Student number 2 is holding on this side like this. And then student number 3 is going to loosen this guy, and you raise and lower it and you lock it in. That's the only safe way to do it. Okay, so on this one right here, it's got an on-off button. Oh, by the way, before we get with this last one, I meant to say that in raising and lowering this on this machine, we have a metal handle here, and depending on if this is tight one direction, it's really hard to do this, and if it's the other direction, then it's easier. So just know that that knob controls that. This one right here, the speed, I would say with this machine here, I would come get me for help, but essentially this is more of a manual one, kind of like a bicycle chain. If I move this gear to the top here and the top back here, it's going to be a certain speed, and if you move the belt down, you get different speeds. So generally we leave this one kind of for steel so it can do everything. But as far as raising and lowering this one here, back here you can do this one by yourself. You just move this knob up like this, and then on the other side you can see there's this track here, and so basically I can raise and lower it, and then you always want to be sure to lock this in the table when you're done. On this next Rockwell Delta, it has a speed adjustment. Again, you have to have the machine on while you do it, and it'll cause possibly some damage, bad for the machine, if you do it while it's off. So for example, okay, and then on this one here, there's no track on the sides of this. So really you want to have a student holding on here, student number 2 here, and student number 3 loosen this to raise and lower it. This last drill press is our most heavy duty, and basically this one says, warning, do not change speed while machine is running. So this one you want to change the speed while it's off. That's what it says. And we have low and high, so 420 is the low speed right now, 840 is the high speed. So low and then high. If you want to change this, it should just go right to the next one. So now I'm at 150 or 300. But if it doesn't quite click in all the way, that's kind of like midway, come get me for help. This one, you can raise and lower it by yourself because you see a track here. So it's not just going to drop out and take out your knees. So we have some, basically we can loosen these two right here and then raise and lower it and lock it in. By the way, this one has, if people are sweeping behind here, it's got a weird on-off switch down here that sometimes people hit with their broom, I guess. So that's where that's at. Next is you'll notice that our drill presses, we try and leave them with a vise on it with the handle towards the left side, hand on the left here, so you can have your left hand here, and then your right hand can be over here. And we also have this safety guard here. And the reason why we do that is because one time we had it to where a student was drilling a screwdriver, a small piece of metal, and I guess they weren't holding on to the vise, and the vise started spinning around like this and then flew out, which was very dangerous. So since then, a long time ago, we've been using these safety guards. And so the deal is with these safety guards is that if the vise is inside of this, it can never rotate around. See that? If the drill got caught in your metal, it couldn't rotate around. And so that's what we're going to do. Now, if you for some reason had to have the vise like this, for example, or if you had to have no vise at all, if you just had to lay a thick piece of metal on here, what you don't want to do is hold on to it with your hand. Right behind you is cabinet 4. We have lots of a variety of C-clamps, a variety of locking vice grips. And so basically, I would say try and use 2 of these, which would be safer than 1. And so if I had to secure a vise here, for example, I could use like a locking vice grip like this, and I could secure it maybe there and another one on the other side. Or if I had no vise and just had some metal, I could use a locking vice grip here, one on the other side. But just make no mistake about it that you want to not hold on to your work with your hand, and that it's better to have maybe two ways to hold it down, unless you're using this safety guard. This is quite safe here. Long hair should be tied back. You wouldn't want your long hair to be wrapped up around here, or hoodie ties, though it is harder to do it around a drill press than a lathe where your head's right above your work. You still want to have no loose clothing, no hoodie ties. Long hair should be tied back so it's not below your shoulder, and that just helps to make things safer. Next thing here is this thing right here is called a Jacob's chuck, and the Jacob's chuck, you can see right now it's opening up and then it's closing down. See that? The mistake I see that students make is that when they want to put a drill inside, what they do is they shove it up too far. Some students will basically take this drill here and they'll just shove it all the way up inside, as far as it'll go, and then they'll try and tighten this, and it basically ends up getting stuck in there and jammed up. So when you use a Jacob's chuck on any drill, you just want to put about 1 inch of it into the chuck. So like this, I would just go in about this much before I tighten it. Do not all the way up. Do not do that, okay? It's not designed to work that way. All right, so what you want to do, I got my drill right here. I'm going to put this in about 1 inch, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten this thing with my hand, and then turn it by hand like that. It looks good. Let me show you what's not right. Okay, I tighten this by hand, and then I turn it. You can see, wow, I really did a bad job with that. So make sure that you put it in just 1 inch, tighten it, and then turn it by hand. Make sure it's good. If that is good, we have what's called a chuck key that's on a chain so we don't lose it. And you're going to put this gear side to match these gears. So you push this in, and we're going to go clockwise. So clockwise a little bit there, and I did it. To get it out, push it in and go counterclockwise like that, and take your drill out. So again, you put this in about an inch, tighten it, spin it by hand, chuck key in. Now, what if you just like barely do this? What's going to happen when you're drilling steel is that this right here, so when you're drilling steel, what will happen is that this as this is spinning, this thing will just slide out in here, and it's not going to cut anymore, and that's going to be bad. So when you put in the chuck key, you really want to go clockwise with as much muscle as you got. Okay, that way this is not going to slide out inside the Jacobs chuck. All right, so really important. Now, if I decide to, again, shove this drill all the way up like that and tighten it, it might work, okay? But when it comes time to get this thing out, it's really hard. I have to get like a locking vice grip and a hammer, and I might break the drill bit. It's just not what you want to do, okay? All right, next thing I want to go over is that the Jacobs chuck here is meant to take drills that are straight shank. That means that this part here is straight, round, okay? The other type of drills we have are called tapered shanks. A taper means that it's thick here and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. Also, you'll notice that tapered shank drills on the end have this kind of two places here. So I can really spot this, right? Straight shank drill, tapered shank drill. Straight tapered. Straight shank tends to be with smaller drills, like, you know, 1/2 inch or smaller, a lot of times straight shank. The tapered shank drills tend to be with bigger drills because that idea of the drill sliding out inside the Jacobs chuck can never ever happen with a tapered shank drill. So right here, this drill press actually has this is for tapered shanks. So check this out. There's something called a drift, and the drift looks like this. It goes in here. I could hold on to this, tap it, and then you can see here, sure you take out this, don't leave this inside, but inside of here was a tapered shank Jacobs chuck. But now, if I wanted to, I could put this in, but it doesn't fit. So I might have to have an adapter on it, like this. Squeeze that together, and now that's in. And if I wanted to get it out, I just temporarily put this in, the drift, to get my drill out. Okay, so this guy I'll put back in, and sometimes I'll get a block of wood under here and just give it a little tap just so it doesn't fall out. But that's just some basic safety with drill presses. Thanks for watching.